Congresswoman Gwen, Democrat from Wisconsin. Congresswoman, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Lots of things on your agenda for this 113th Congress, but something the 112th didn't take up was the Reauthorization for the Violence Against Women Act that, of course, expired a year ago, something that you have been very vocal about. Why has this become so difficult to take up?
You know, I am really disappointed that we didn't do it, because it means we've got to start all over, and it's been a very difficult process. This bill really looked at best practices and decided that it was really time to take care of those women who were most marginalized, communities of color, immigrant women, LGBT communities, and Native American women. I mean, these tribal reservations have become a veritable free land for sexual assault and domestic violence, because the tribal authorities don't have authority to prosecute non-native people on their lands. And so I think that it's become contentious because the best practices, advocates, law enforcement finally realized that these women live on the fringes and on the margins, but they too need to be protected.
But it's been a year, and it hasn't seemed to get any traction. It certainly, obviously, as we just said, didn't make it through the 112th. This is a question we're asking about a lot of these outstanding issues. Why will this year be any different?
Well, you know, we have to be hopeful. We have more women. We have a historic number of women in the Senate. And, of course, the bill did finally clear the Senate, but it had a lot of hurdles in the Senate, and perhaps we won't have as many of those hurdles. We'll have more Democrats in the House. And, you know, thanks to folk like you who are keeping this issue alive and visible through the media, we're hoping to engage the public and for them to put pressure on their members of Congress to see the importance of having this male-gendered institution, the United States Congress, really take on women. Let's be very clear. Violence is pandemic in the United States, but women are especially vulnerable. And these Native women, they are abused twice as much as other women, and federal prosecutions that now deal with crimes on Native lands are just not adequate for protecting these women. 52% of these violent acts weren't prosecuted in federal court, and of those 52%, 67% of them were sexual assault and other kinds of domestic violence.
It's very early on, I realize, less than 24 hours, and many of these new members of Congress are probably still trying to figure out where everything is and even find their way to their offices. But given that, since you brought up the idea that, you know, this is a different Congress, that the makeup is different, that we see for the first time that white men on the Democratic side of the House are no longer in the majority, that you see more people of color, that you see people of different religions that we've never seen before. But given the overall numbers and the intransigence that we have seen over this last session of Congress, do you really expect this infusion of new people to make a difference in any significant way?
Well, let me just say this. You know, elections have consequences, and we want to make sure that the price is paid for those folks who are intransigent and, you know, who are intransient. Certainly, I've moved from some of my deeply held beliefs in order to compromise and to get things done and to get a deal done. And for those folks who don't want to come here and make government work, I'm hoping to communicate to their constituents that they need to send another representative to Congress. I mean, the people have the ultimate power, and as a person who's been elected since 1988, in democracy. And so I think it's really our mission to message the importance of things like helping people who need disaster relief, and women who need protections, and to keep this in the public view so that they can make decisions. 2014 is coming soon.
Congresswoman Gwen, always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
And thanks for having me.